Hello to all the listeners. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope everything is well at your end, and welcome to another episode of Simply Gita, where we shall explore the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is very true that time flies, and we have undoubtedly covered a major portion of this journey on exploring the wisdom which has been explained by Krishna in the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. This particular chapter explains to us the three modes of human nature. All the living beings are subjected to these three modes very frequently, and these modes determine the activities that we perform, the decisions that we make, and also the results that we achieve. The three modes, namely the moral mode, the active mode, and the dark mode, are responsible for everything that the living beings do. This episode is going to be highly relatable as well, so please listen to the same with attention, and let us start now. Knowledge is like the flow of water, which can even leave a mark on a huge stone if it is consistent. Krishna tells Arjun that he shall now explain the supreme and the best knowledge to him, and all the sages have attained perfection through this very knowledge. It has been repeatedly mentioned by Krishna throughout the Gita that the person who becomes fixed in true knowledge can attain absolute peace, and such a person can get rid of the miseries. God speaks that the Brahman is the source of birth of all the living beings. He tells that he himself gives birth to all the living beings through the Brahman. The nature is like the mother which gives birth to all the beings, and there are 8 elements of nature, that is water, fire, air, earth, sky, mind, intelligence, and pride. And Krishna provides us with consciousness, which eventually makes a body living. Krishna tells Arjun to understand this fact that irrespective of the species, all beings which exist have been born through the material nature, and Krishna is the father who establishes the soul in all the living beings. The body without soul is completely lifeless, and it is through Krishna that our body receives the soul. Now finally Krishna explains in detail about the three modes of nature. He tells that there is the moral mode or the mode of goodness, the active mode or the mode of passion, and the dark mode which is full of ignorance. These three modes are a result of the material nature, and all the beings perform different acts under the influence of these three modes. Krishna tells that the moral mode or the mode of goodness is more pure than the other two modes. A person who is situated in the moral mode becomes free from various sinful reactions and is filled with happiness and knowledge. The moral mode illuminates the soul within, which may be in darkness because of ignorance. Explaining about the active or the passion mode, God tells that under the passion mode, a person has unlimited desires and wants. As a result of these desires, he becomes attached to different activities, and he only wants to reap the benefits of a certain task. Except for a few people, mostly the entire world is attached to the work and the fruits. The reason behind this is the mode of passion. Now Krishna explains about the dark mode. He tells that the dark mode is a result of ignorance. A person in the dark mode is deluded. Such a person suffers from madness, that is, inability to think between correct and incorrect. Such a person suffers from laziness and too much sleep. The dark mode is responsible for developing the state of inertia in a person. Here, sleep also refers to the act of performing action without thinking rationally. Krishna tells Arjun that the mode of goodness results in happiness. It inspires the person to look for the absolute truth and to be self-aware. The mode of passion results in the action for fruits. Such a person performs action because he or she is inspired by the fruits that may result from it. On the other hand, the dark mode covers the knowledge of a person, resulting in irrational behavior, carelessness, and suffering. Then Krishna tells that there is a type of competition which is going on between these three modes, that is the moral, active, and dark mode are engaged in a type of competition, and they compete with each other to gain dominance. He tells that sometimes the moral mode defeats the active and the dark mode, sometimes the active mode proves to be dominant, while at other times the dark mode overpowers the moral and the active mode. Every mode tries to dominate the other two modes and rise. This verse is highly relatable because often in our daily life, we have days when we feel peaceful, while there are days when we feel completely broken. Mood swings may also be a result of these three modes. Whenever we engage in any task or while we are having thoughts in our mind, we should reflect for a moment and try to identify that which mode is dominating us at that very moment. Now Krishna explains the manner in which one may know that which mode is in effect. God tells Arjun that when the 9 gates of the human body, that is the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genital and the anus. So when all these 9 gates are cleansed by knowledge, then we may experience the mode of goodness. This mode helps in cleaning us both internally and externally. When the active or passion mode gains dominance, it can be recognized by symptoms like extreme attachment, actions for the sake of obtaining fruits, intense ambition to achieve something, and also uncontrollable desires and greed. So a person who is in the mode of passion is never satisfied with his or her achievements and always desires more. When we are doing the work only to enjoy the benefits of the result, then it is a symptom of the active mode. Irrespective of whether we are actually interested in that task or not, we still do it. We should note here that there is no harm if a person tries to indulge in action even after achieving significant things, provided that the person wants to do that task for the sake of making a difference, for the sake of providing value, and not merely for the sake of obtaining fruits. Krishna further tells that when a person is trapped in the absence of knowledge, in inertia, that is willingness to do nothing, in irrationality and delusion, then it should be understood that the dark mode has become dominant. A person in the dark mode is happy without performing any action, and he or she loses the ability to differentiate between correct or incorrect. Now God explains that what happens when people die while they are in a particular mode. So Krishna tells that when a person dies in the moral mode or the mode of goodness, then such a person reaches the heavenly planets of the sages, which are pure. In such planets, the people who are present there are full of knowledge. The actions that we perform throughout our life are taken into account at the time of dying. When a person dies in the active or the passion mode, then he or she again takes birth in the material world among those people who are performing actions only to enjoy the results. As you sow, so shall you reap. Further, Krishna tells that the person who dies in the dark mode or the mode of ignorance, such a person is born in the world of animals. Now Krishna tells the impact of the action which we perform under the influence of different modes. Under the moral mode, the actions are pure, they are full of knowledge and they provide peace. Actions which are performed under the influence of active mode results in sorrow and misery because such people never experience true peace as they are never satisfied. Finally, Krishna tells that action done in the mode of darkness results in a miserable condition. Such actions are free from knowledge and they result in suffering. Explaining the qualities that result from the modes, God tells Arjun that real knowledge develops from the moral mode. The mode of passion gives rise to greed, while the mode of darkness provides irrationality and illusion. On the basis of these details, it is very easy for us to conclude that the dark mode results in maximum sorrow. The 3 modes also determine our next births. The people situated in the moral mode go to the heavenly planets, which is full of happiness. Those in active mode remain on the earthly planets, while the ones who are in the dark mode, such people go down to the hellish planets. Krishna then speaks to Arjun that the person who is able to understand that in all the activities, these modes are the only performers at work, and if such a person knows that the Supreme is beyond these 3 modes, the one who is not affected by any of these modes, then such a person reaches absolute peace. Krishna tells that when a person understands that attachment to either of these 3 modes is not beneficial, then such a person is able to go beyond the 3 modes of material nature. Then that person is able to obtain pure peace even in this very life and is able to become free from miseries. Arjun then asks Krishna to reveal the symptoms of that person who is beyond the three modes of nature. He requests Krishna to tell about the behavior of such a person as well as the manner in which he or she is able to go beyond the three modes of nature. Answering the same, Krishna explains that the person who is beyond the three modes of nature, such a being, neither hates the moral, active or the dark mode if they are present, nor that person desires for any of these three modes when they are no longer present. Here God tells that the person who is unwavering and unaffected by these material modes, and who after understanding that the modes alone are active, who remains neutral to them, such a person is able to go beyond the three modes of nature. Explaining further about the state of neutral attitude, Krishna tells that the person who is situated in the self, meaning that such a person who is not influenced by others, who looks at joy and sorrow equally, who looks at earth, the gold as well as stone with an equal eye, who is equal towards the dear ones as well as towards the one who are undesirable, who is unwavering in defamation and honor, such people are not trapped in any of the three modes. Krishna also tells that the person who is beyond the three modes of nature looks at respect and disrespect equally, and in spite of the fact that such a person engages in action, he has no attachment for the results. The person who is unmoved under any circumstance, be it favorable or unfavorable, and is engaged in the devotion of the Supreme, such a person is able to go beyond the three modes of nature and thereby attain ultimate happiness. Here, Supreme can be assumed as both God as well as the duties that we are expected to perform. We may conclude that irrespective of the circumstances, we have to indulge in the performance of our duties. A person engaged in duties and devotion attains this happiness and peace. So with this, we have come to the end of the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where God explains about the three different modes which influence the activities of living beings. That's it for today's episode. Hope it was valuable. Thank you for joining in. Stay tuned for the next one. Take care and have a great day ahead. And lastly, I just have one request to make to the audience. Please let me know your views on the episodes by connecting with me through the links given in the description box. Would really appreciate if you guys do so. Thank you. Stay tuned.